Hey everybody, I just wanted to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Mike. I'm a dad of a current junior in high school. Um, the reason why I'm making this video is to maybe help a bunch of parents or even students that were that are looking to get their kids into college by sports managed to sport recruit stuff. Um, when I first started doing it, I had no sources. And so it was tons of Google searching, tons of bouncing around throughout the internet, and not getting a whole lot of answers in the early phases, which I think was valuable. I also didn't realize how much work was going to be put into it. So I figured something like this, like a decent video, would help a lot of people out. I'm probably going to try to keep this one just as an introduction and then do multiple different videos touching different areas. But if there's questions, feel free and put them at the comments below, and I'll do my very best to research what questions you have and maybe even do videos to answer them for you. The main things I'm going to talk about is obviously the idea behind recruiting for college and sports related college, and then from there I'm going to talk about things like clubs and the money for it, which is like travel ball for different curriculums of that sort. I'm going to talk about camps and showcases, what they bring to the table. Are some good, some bad. Some are just money gougers. Other ones are actually legit. Um, Researching programs, what's entailed to know what kind of schools um, your child wants to go to, which is most important for you. Obviously both athletically and scholastically. Um, Going to talk about college visits, and all this stuff. Just for full disclosure, isn't law. Isn't It's just how my experience has been, what I've seen as a parent, as a person who's trying to get their daughter into college via sport scholarships or recruitment at least. Um, it may be different for a ton of different people, from D1 levels to not D1 levels to D3 levels to junior colleges to private schools to city universities. I mean, the list goes on. But at least if you have my point of view, and you can kind of take this journey with me and my daughter, I figured it'll help. It'll give you some information. It might answer some questions, and maybe we'll enjoy it. I'm going to talk about things like emails and videos, how important those are to both college coaches and even the professors at certain colleges if your child has a specific field of study that they want to be involved in. I'm going to talk about supporting of your child on and off the field. I've made some mistakes, and I wanted to share them with you, with the idea that hopefully you don't make the same ones. I've also done things that I felt were right. And all this information that I'm talking about, it comes from my daughter, it comes from her mother, it comes from my mother, it comes from other parents, other college coaches that I've heard and talked to, what I've seen in other fields and how that body language translated to other kids. Just a bunch of different information there. I think the big thing that I talk about or will talk about is, more importantly, talking about when to shut up and when to speak up. Not just to your kids, but maybe to coaches, to possibly, other players' parents. I mean, there's a list of things. There's a time to shut up and there's a time to speak up. College letters, emails, possible offers. There is, at this point now where she's a junior, I probably get 10 emails a day, probably 4 or 5 packets in the mail. Sounds great, but most of it's BS. So be careful. Camp invites can be BS. There's a lot to take in, and we'll talk about that. Scholarships and grants, though I'm not at that level yet. I'll talk about a little bit of what I do know, and obviously I'll update things as they come in, just to make life a little easy for you. At least maybe some of the research I've done, and I can tell you what I've learned from different levels of college from D1 to D2 to D3, maybe even NAIA or junior college. And then, of course, the last thing I'll talk about maybe at the end, and hopefully you guys will take a journey with me, is the different levels of offers. There is things that they can and cannot do through the NCAA. From D1, D2, you have to register for D1 and D2 as opposed to D3. There's official and unofficial visits, and when it comes in, that's maybe sometimes where the offers come in. We'll talk about that in detail. So, and that's just giving you an idea of what we're going to talk about. I do have a plan on making about 10 videos, maybe each one about 20 minutes to a half hour long, about each one of those subjects specifically. But if there's anything you think I'm missing out, or maybe something that you're more intrigued about, just write a comment and I'll definitely read and respond, and we'll jump in on it. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon, and hopefully you guys enjoy all this.